Oh, hello. Welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a very pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things. And on this pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things, we have many things and stuff to talk about, including upcoming videos, things that you can look forward to on Stuff and Things Plays, and working. We're going to go into a big Patreon update. This Sunday video is for news about the channel, and this is news that you should hear. And then, of course, we will have your feedback, questions, and comments in hashtag askstuffandthings. So let's get into it. All right, so much coming up on Stuff and Things Plays, and working. First of all, on Stuff and Things, this coming week there will be the final Cult Blood Red Moon review. Many of you were interested in the first impressions video. I think it got quite a few views, lots of comments, lots of engagement, lots of people talking about it. And I'm finally ready for the full review. That will be posting this Wednesday. The Wednesday after that, we are going to start our very first episode of what might be a recurring series called the Stuff and Things Book Club. I mentioned, a few weeks back that I was reading All the Pretty Horses by Cormac McCarthy. I don't have the book to hold up for you right now because Diamond borrowed it. But I finished that a while back, and I thought it would be fun to use that as the first novel that we discuss in Stuff and Things Book Club. So, if you haven't read All the Pretty Horses yet, you should pick it up and read it, and then watch the video, not this next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after. And I think whenever we do a Stuff and Things Book Club episode, I will announce the next book in that episode, and then that'll give you time to read that book and then discuss it with me when I do the video. You can discuss it in the comments, answer some of the things that I say. If I've just got everything completely wrong in my interpretation of what the book means or what it's trying to say, you can be involved in the comments of that YouTube video. So, Stuff and Things Book Club, All the Pretty Horses, coming up in 2 weeks. Not this coming Wednesday, but the Wednesday after. And then the Wednesday after that, maybe. We're going to be going out of town again a little bit, but the next video, not sure exactly when it's going to post, will be first impressions of Seattle Pipe Club Down Yonder. Lots of interesting stuff coming up on Stuff and Things. On working, I'm not going to have a full episode this coming Monday. I'm thinking the way things are going and how much work it does to do the working videos, kind of ironic, that we're probably going to do every other Monday, so 2 episodes a month, and then I might do shorts every once in a while. So stay tuned for that. Please, if you haven't checked out Working, go check it out, subscribe, watch, leave comments, like the videos, all that good stuff. And then in Stuff and Things Plays, we will have the Tears of the Kingdom series continuing every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I've recorded over 50 episodes now. It's a fantastic game. It's so entertaining and so much fun to watch. So check that out as well. Lots of stuff coming up on all the channels. And before we get into the main body of the episode, you may notice that I'm wearing this Steve Largent jersey. I don't know if you can see that. Number 80, Steve Largent. This is his 1985 jersey for the Seattle Seahawks. And I just posted a video last week on this jersey. It's the Mitchell & Ness Authentic NFL line. And this is for Steve Largent. And it's basically the exact, as close as you can get to exactly how the jerseys were made. So since this is a 1985, it's made like the Seahawks 1985 jerseys with those colors. They just released images of their throwback jerseys that they're going to be wearing this year. Very similar to this, except with the modern design of the jerseys. So check that video out if you haven't watched it yet. Football season is almost here. The Seahawks might be good. It's going to be fun. So check that out. All right, gang. So every episode, towards the end of the episode, do my Patreon shout-outs. And I give the little spiel about how much I would appreciate it if any of you had it in your hearts to support the channel's, my endeavors on Patreon. And some of you have, and it is extremely amazing. I am so thankful to all of you who support the channels on Patreon. And I'm not going to get into a whole spiel on this episode either, but basically, it does take quite a bit of work to do these videos. It takes quite a bit of money as well, just the equipment I need to make the videos, paying for subscription services for the Adobe suite so I can edit and do all the things I need to do, the lights that are shining upon me, the camera that is filming this video now. The big thing right now that I'm working towards is a new editing workstation, because basically my computer is over 5 years old now and it is having a lot of trouble keeping up with the editing tasks that I am giving it. It takes a long time for it to render 4K video, and then it's really choppy and difficult to actually do the editing of that 4K video. And I'm trying to switch all my content up to 4K, even though I am actually exporting the videos in 1080p. I'm recording them in 4K and editing them that way to get much more quality. I'm just trying to keep up with the standards that people have out there and that you guys are coming to expect from the content that you see on YouTube. And so I have a goal. My goal is to get 100 people supporting the channels at the $5 tier on Patreon. And if I can get to that goal, then I'm pretty sure I can afford a new editing workstation to make these videos that you watch every week. And with that in mind, I have decided that on Patreon, I'm going to start including the videos that I post on YouTube. But they're going to be on Patreon ad-free, and they're going to be a little bit early in most cases. So let me explain how this works. Basically, every tier that I have on Patreon, there's a $2 tier, a $5 tier, a $15 tier, a $25 tier, and a $100 tier. Every single one of those tiers is going to have access to my YouTube videos, not my catalog of old videos yet. I don't think there's enough storage on Patreon for that. I think they're giving me 500 hours of video right now. I think you can up that eventually, but for now I'm going to be limited to 500 hours. So from this day going forward and starting this coming week, every episode that is normally posting on Wednesday on YouTube will actually be posting Monday on Patreon. So you'll get it 2 days early. It'll be at Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and it will be ad-free. Now, some of the videos that I post on YouTube already don't have ads because they deal with stuff like this, and I can't monetize them on YouTube anyway. But they'll still be a bit early, and they'll be collected in a place that if you're a Patreon supporter, you'll be able to find them and watch them there. So, this coming Monday at 9 a.m., the Cult Blood Red Moon full review will be available 2 days early on Patreon. The Sunday videos, because they're Sunday videos, I'm not going to post early, but they'll be on Patreon ad-free. So no obnoxious pop-up ads or anything like that. I know that some of you get really irritated by that. So they're going to be posting ad-free on Sunday on Patreon. And then eventually I might start posting working videos on Patreon ad-free as well. The annoying thing is, and maybe I should discuss this with myself, I guess, but the working videos are on YouTube. I don't put any ads on them because I'm not allowed to yet because I don't have enough subscribers or views, but YouTube is putting ads on them. So maybe it would make sense for me to post those working videos on Patreon as well. But definitely once it gets to the point where I'm able to monetize those videos on YouTube, I will start moving those onto Patreon too. And maybe even before that time comes, I'll start putting them on Patreon. I just wanted it to be a really tangible benefit that people would have if they end up supporting the channels on Patreon. From the very beginning, I wanted it to be more of just not a hard sell. I didn't want it to be like, well, if you do this, you might get this. I don't want to wall anything off behind Patreon. I want the people who support me there to do it just because they want to help out and they want to support the content and the shows. But I think it might be a nice extra incentive for people if you would like to get some of the content early and you would like to get it ad-free, it will be on Patreon. So I've already updated the Patreon, showing that in all the tiers, you will have access to those ad-free videos. I'm not locking it behind any tiers. Basically, it's just how much you would like to give, how much you're able to give, and please don't feel pressured to give anything if you can't. The $25 tier is obviously the kind of amazing shout-out tier. You get your name shouted out every week. You're kind of a producer of the show. And then the Maniac tier is for complete crazy people. It also has the added benefit of being able to have a Skype conversation with me every 3 months, but that's kind of for, the ultimate Patreon people. So the $2 tier gets you early access ad-free, $5 tier early access ad-free, $15 tier early access ad-free. I'm really sorry to have to do an episode about this. I know that that's probably not why you're watching this, but I do spend a lot of time making videos, and it does cost me quite a bit of money to get the equipment and the things that I need to make the videos. And so I know that many of you out there are really enthusiastic about helping, and I really appreciate that. And I just thought this was news that you would want to hear. So, starting this Monday at 9 a.m., the video that is normally posting on Wednesday on YouTube will be available on Patreon ad-free. If there were going to be ads anyway on YouTube, it depends on what kind of content it is. And then the Sunday video will be available, actually, I guess, starting Sunday on Patreon. This Sunday video will be available ad-free as well, and every week going forward. So, all of you who have already supported the channels on Patreon, thank you so much. Those of you who think you might like to do that, know that is going to be going towards the fund for getting a new editing workstation so I can up the quality of these videos and just in general make everything on this channel better. Oh, and there is a link in the description to the Patreon below. Thank you so much. But now, gang, it is time for hashtag askstuffandthings. I have so much good feedback from last week's episodes, and I like to read it out every week on Ask Stuff and Things. If you have any questions, comments, feedback for me, you can tweet at SATBradley with the hashtag askstuffandthings. You can write to me via Patreon. That's another reason why I want to really make this Patreon community vibrant, because I'd really like hearing from you guys on Patreon. If you're Patreon supporters, you can hit that super thanks button under this video and go right to the front of the line, or you can leave questions, comments, and feedback in the comment section of my YouTube videos. So first, via Patreon, we have an amazing patron named Dr. Dre who says, "Hi Bradley. First of all, I wanted to thank you for recommending Gene Wolfe's Book of the New Sun. You're very welcome. I'm glad you read it. I'm halfway through, and it is indeed excellent literature. As for my question, I noticed in the past that you used to have a Rickenbacker guitar in the background of your old apartment. Do you still own and play that instrument? I've always heard great things about their quality, but also that they may have limitations as to the style of music that they're ideally suited for. Thanks." Thank you very much, Dr. Dre, for the question and for being a Patreon supporter. I do still have the Rickenbacker. It's a guitar I will never sell. It was my first dream guitar when I was a little kid. I would see the Beatles with Rickenbackers. And then when I got older, saw Paul Weller of the Jam with the Rickenbacker. I always wanted one. I have it. I do play it. I don't play it as often as I play my Gibson Les Paul Special and especially my Fender Custom Shop Tele. It is not limited in the genre of music that it can do, because like I just mentioned, the Beatles used a Rickenbacker or used Rickenbackers, and then a band like the Jam used Rickenbackers, Paul Weller, and that's about as hard as you can get. And there are other really hard rock bands that use Rickenbackers. They can play anything. The thing that might be kind of limiting for some people is they're just kind of weird. If you're used to a Fender or a Gibson style guitar, the Rickenbacker is just different. It's not quite the same. I'm not going to say I can't play it as well as my other guitars, but it does take a little bit of an adjustment period when I've been playing my other guitars a lot and then I pick up the Rickenbacker. But they're great. They have so much personality and so much character, and I think they're, for what they are, the fact that they're American made and a lot of handmade process goes into it. I think the bodies are CNC machined and stuff, but a lot of hand finishing and everything. I think they're reasonably priced for what they are, and they hold their value really well, and they're just gorgeous instruments. So don't be put off by the idea that they're weird or one-trick ponies. I think they're really versatile. Next, we have some feedback, we have a question from YouTube. This is from @BigLuthery. Bradley, I don't think YouTube is promoting your working content as it should. It is extremely hard to find. Could be me, I suppose. And you are right about that @BigLuthery. I check every once in a while. I try to sign out of my normal YouTube account and then sign in to kind of a dummy account and do searches for my working videos to see if they show up. They do not. So if I just search working in the YouTube search bar and then filter for channel, scroll down forever, and there will be all these channels with working in the title, but working does not show up. The only way you can search it out by channel is to do @working_stuff_and_things, and then it'll show up, but just doing a search term or using a keyword like working, they don't. The only thing I can think of right now is that it just hasn't been around long enough. It doesn't have enough subscribers or enough views or enough engagement for YouTube to put it into the algorithm. And that's why I keep, annoyingly, I'm sure, asking you guys to go to that channel, to subscribe, to watch the videos, comment, thumbs up, all that good stuff, so we can force YouTube's hand and get it in the search algorithm so that when people look for things like about construction, then my working videos will show up. I think they could have a really broad appeal if people could just find them on YouTube. So you guys going to the channel and clicking on those links would really help out. There is a link to the working channel in the description box below. I know I'm asking you guys to do a lot of things, but I don't think I do that too often, so hopefully you'll forgive me. Next, we have feedback from last week's Sunday Stuff and Things. This is from @thewoodcraft1449. Back in the 70s, an adult I knew that had a glass eye, or I knew an adult who had a glass eye. He'd allowed the force of a pistol-gripped pressure wand at the self-service car wash to rotate the wand in his hand. The end struck his eye socket and instantly jetted the eyeball to mush. I mentioned my pressure washer injury that I had. It's pretty much all healed now. I don't know if that's going to show up on camera at all, but I can finally play guitar again. That was really annoying. But that's horrible. That's really horrible. Blood Red Moon. I have full faith that you have found it to be better than others, but still Luden-esque in its flavor profile. Yeah, kinda. And as to student loans, students, universities, and lending institutions should be held equally liable for defaulted loans. Begs the question as to which is the greater societal wrong: restricted access to higher education, or a working public being saddled with debts accrued with willy-nilly by unprepared student borrowers. Thank you, @thewoodcraft1449. Next, we have a comment from Cornelius, who says, there comes a point when you gotta let someone off the hook. If you paid back twice the balance on a bad decision made as a kid, it's just morally wrong, in my opinion, to keep it going. Anyways, nice guitar skills. Awesome channel. Thank you, buddy. Next, from Jimmy Dixon, 2632. I agree with much of what you said about college loans. I had loans when I graduated in '73. I paid my debt in full over the years. Nobody forgave my debt. Why should I now have to pay others' loans? I don't feel that forgiveness is the right way to correct the problem. The debt is a personal responsibility, and forgiveness does not correct the problem. Thanks for chiming in, @JimmyDixon2632. Next, from @Meanderinoranges. They say, it seems like a failure of parenting/education for young adults to get stiffed with bad student loans, but taking responsibility for the loan like you did is 100% the right thing to do. I just wish I wasn't penalized for paying my loans off 15 years ago. Where's my 10K? Next, from @TomBrown1898. You are quite right about the cost of college degrees nowadays. I hear figures and my eyes roll back in my head. I graduated from a private liberal arts college in Ohio in the mid-'70s. It was a very pricey school for the time, and the cost per year for tuition, room, and board was about $5,000. Wow. That's not a typo. There were many financial aid programs then, and my total indebtedness when I graduated was about $3,000. Interest was practically non-existent because of the federal law governing the program. I can't remember what my parents were because it was so long ago. For so many saddled by student debt, I view them as victims of an education system that rewards coaches and administrators at the expense of students and teachers, of predatory lending, and of government that just doesn't give a damn. That's some interesting background there, Tom. I was obviously in school much later than you, but obviously still quite a ways back. That figure 5,000 is very mind-boggling to hear. The school where I'm located now, Western Washington University, it is a public state-run school. It lists the cost for students in-state, so that's cheaper than out-of-state students, for room and board and the cost of tuition. They list it as $31,245 for 1 year. If you multiply that by 4 years, assuming that the costs don't rise throughout that time, which they probably will, you're looking at $124,980 all in for in-state tuition of a public university, which is pretty crazy. The private university I attended, USC, now lists their cost to attend as $66,640 per year. Seems a bit crazy. Next, we have at Big Luthery again. Thanks for the guitar lesson. That was pretty cool. You're welcome. And now we have some feedback from the Mitchell and Ness Authentic NFL 1985 Steve Largent jersey. And this is from at Nancy Offenheiser 4916. The 40 looks great on you. This is a size 40. If you see the video, you'll see that I was trying on a couple different sizes to see which worked. Make sure you borrow one of Diamond's lingerie bags to wash it in, and then wash it on delicate. Well, Nancy, I already washed it. I washed it on delicate in cold. I turned it inside out, and then I hung it to dry. Seems like it's gonna be fine. I lived in Portland during that time, and I agree with you. I love those throwback colors. Yeah, I mean, come on, look at this. How good is this? This looks so much better than the modern Seahawks uniforms. It's just amazing. Love it. Next, from at user EL5ND2KN2R. They say, taking the size 40 allows you to wear a tee or a singlet under the shirt. What's a singlet? Can anyone tell me what a singlet is? Maybe, maybe not. It looks great. Perhaps the authentic range was meant for bodies from the 70s and 80s and not today's average figure. Yeah, that's an interesting point because the size, this is a size 40. Well, actually, maybe that doesn't make sense because the 36 was actually bigger than what a 36 would be. Anyway, but it fits you well and it's a good choice. I'm also learning about the Seattle Seahawks too. Yeah, Seahawks are great. I mean, they haven't always been very great. They've won one Super Bowl, but they got to the Super Bowl once in the early 2000s and they're a fun team. They were an expansion team in 1977, I think. Next, from at Ned Casual, great jersey. I believe your review is one of a kind, as I've looked and looked before and found nada. And that's kind of why I wanted to post it too, because when I was looking into the jerseys, I didn't find much information on them. As I live in New Zealand, I wanted to be sure before I pulled the trigger. It's cool to have a New Zealand football fan, an NFL fan. But in the end, I just went for it. I have had it around 2 years now, and I absolutely love it. I think the price tag is worth it if you're a fan and want that authentic Seahawks era feel. And it's very cool that you're a Seahawks fan in New Zealand. Couple things. Steve Largent is the only Seahawks player available in the Mitchell and Ness Authentic line. That's true. They have a, what is it called? There's another jersey line. I can't remember. There's Authentics, but then there's like a cheaper line, and there are some more Seahawks available in that line. I agree that the quality is great, and having also owned a current Nike Elite jersey, the quality matches up to those, although the fabrics are completely different. I do prefer the look of this one, however, with the large numbers, nameplate, and sleeve. And you're right, the large open mesh does leave you feeling a little exposed. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see this, but you can sort of see me through this thing. I don't know if I'd be wearing this in public without a t-shirt underneath. Enjoy it, and cheers for sharing, even if it is 2 years too late. I didn't post the video 2 years ago, so maybe that was just a mistake. But gang, thank you so much for all that feedback. Please check out this review if you haven't seen it yet. It's an amazing jersey, I love it. But now gang, it is time for the very best part of the show, and we spent a lot of time talking about Patreon, and now here is where I thank our Patreon supporters. Since I already did that big Patreon spiel, I'm not gonna do it again, but thank you all so much for the support that you show, those of you who do support the channels on Patreon. And every week we like to shout out those who support the channels at $25 or more a month. People like Glenn Dunnington, Jason Buckner, MD of the North, David Gaudreau, Finn O'Hagan, Ryan McFadin, Arcturus, and Ashes of the Phoenix. I would consider them all producers of Stuff and Things. And of course the Maniacs, the crazy people who support the channels at $100 a month, people like Bob Magee, and we will never forget our Hall of Fame member and dearly departed friend, Peter Straub. Gang, thank you so much for everything, for watching these videos, for liking these videos, for subscribing. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Please check out Working. There is a link in the comment section or in the description box below. Check out the Patreon, see if you feel like you might want to support the channels. We're gonna have that goal of 100 $5 tier subscribers so that we can get that new editing workstation. Please stay tuned for the full review of Cult, Blood Red Moon coming up. We're going to have the Stuff and Things book club on All the Pretty Horses, Tears of the Kingdom on Stuff and Things Plays, Working, we'll have regular updates. Everything is happening on Stuff and Things Plays, and Working. But until next time, until we meet again, I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things on a very pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things. Have a good Labor Day if you live in the US, and I'll see you later.